Today we have amongst us Mr. Sarv Sarvanan. He's the Senior Vice President and Managing Director of EMC India Center of Excellence in both India and Egypt. Industry leader of repute. He has about 20 years of experience in variety of roles. In fact, his last role before coming to EMC was Managing Director of Microsoft. Managing Director of Microsoft Global Services. So I'm sure we will learn a lot from Sarv. So I'll request Sarv to.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. It's a privilege and an honor to be here with you this afternoon. One of the finest institutions of India. When I got this invitation, I struggled a bit. As to what is that I have for you to learn from. And also, I'm not the typical other profiles you would find in a person like me doing the job that I'm doing. I don't have the kind of pedigree you expect. So, but having said that, I look back my career in EMC for 5 years, and prior to that in Microsoft for 10 years, and then a couple of different roles that I did in the previous organizations. And I realized that I probably have something that may be of use to you. Anyway, you folks have found interesting cases, and even among us politicians, probably have something to share. What I'm going to share is totally, it's based on facts and experiences that I've encountered and in building organizations in India. And I'll be very happy if it serves even to reinforce whatever you have learned or heard from others, if not anything new. Is it okay? Just to set the context, my background really, the experience that I've drawn from, are predominantly from Microsoft. Having done varieties of different roles, every 3 years I used to change my job in Microsoft, and they're totally different. Running P&Ls, running field organizations, to running setting up large development centers, building their campus in Bangalore. And that's where most of my experience came from. And in EMC, a lot of the things that I did in Microsoft was mostly building prototypes. Using a big company's brand name, a lot of resources behind it. EMC is a little different from that. One, it was a bit of a transformational journey. And two, though EMC is a multinational, resources is something that I can take for granted. Something that I have to struggle for. I think I have to struggle for. With that backdrop, lesson number one that I learned from the beginning between these two organizations is build a solid foundation first. Now, I'd like to draw the contrast between a startup and a multinational organization setting up in a country like India. A startup is always sort of passion for a particular idea. And you always have somebody join with you who shares that passion, right? So you choose to make compromises. You choose to live with resource constraints, and because that one thing was important for you, right? You don't mind sacrifices. As you build a multinational type organization, people come with expectations because typically to play safe. What we tend to do is normally attract people from other multinationals. And even if it's a new organization, people are not going to tolerate shortcomings in the infrastructure, in terms of what they are looking for to build their career. So that's something that you can take for granted. And you've got to start with the right foundation. And I'll share with you, a couple of experiences not having that, what forced us to go through. EMC had started in India in 2003. Unfortunately, at the time EMC started, EMC was a late comer. 2003, at that point in time, if you recall, most of the multinationals had very strong presence in India. Now, IBM was a big name, Intel was a big name, Microsoft was a big name, Cisco was a big name, and all these multinational IT services companies had started having strong foothold here as well, and that the Indian space was always bigger. So at the time, though it was late, EMC didn't start with any strong strategy to start the presence with. It almost started as an accident. One of our product review heads, who had a prior experience in using India, we came down to Bangalore. We wanted to have a small team for his own requirements, and looking at his access other business units quite long, and it but in the next 3 years it became a 500 people organization, and while the numbers grew, again it was directionless. There was no leadership, and there was no support system. Just almost running like a hotel. And people are looking for answers to, hey, is it the right place to invest my career? Okay. So what is the future looking like? What kind of products are we going to own? What kind of domain competencies are we going to build? And there was nobody to answer because it was not started with any major corporate strategy backing that, right? And that led to a lot of challenges. For a product company, technology companies like ourselves, an attrition in excess of 20% is something that very bad, right? You kind of tend to accept that kind of metric for a service company, but not in a technology company. And that's kind of a trend is almost suicidal for a technology company, because you want people staying with you, going deeper in technology for a long time, for you to make meaningful contributions. And the second example, not having a foundation. When I say right foundation, I mean really strong leadership, having a strategy, a purpose for the organization that you're setting up here, and also to back it all up, having the right investment in terms of HR and other support functions, and your investment strategy around investment people. What kind of investment are you going to have on people to help them grow or deepen their competencies, capabilities, if you will. And the second example is, we tend to be conservative as culturally, right? And I did the same mistake. One was to, as I moved into EMC, I started the opportunity for us to, though we are a technology company, we do have a large services organization as well. A 14,000 people services organization, $4 billion in revenue worldwide, but no India presence. Okay? India changed the landscape of IT in that services industry. And most of you, reckon, are from the Indian mainstream IT services industry, right? So that, given that background, it's not hard for us to think that, we should be more central to EMC service business already, right? And while that is good, I started with a very conservative, we don't know what the corporate commitment is going to be. So therefore, let's start with a leader who can help us scale to 400, 500 people. Right? Because you don't want to hire some hard hitter, heavy hitter, and dissatisfying officer here if you can't go far, right? So I started with that. Though I knew the opportunity is big, it was just, why is it? Because the moment they start, it's given that, India will become big for any organization, any multinational, right? That is coming into India. And you don't start, with the right leadership. The early experiences that you, deliver, if it is falling short, though there is not much of expectation of the corporate level, if it falls short any level, and there is no going back and fix it, right? You kind of start building a wrong image or brand or impression, and but you have to learn from all that, quickly make mistakes. Quickly make the corrections. You try to do whatever you want to try to fix, right? That's ahead. So it's very important to make those corrections very quickly as you go along. And that's one learning, another learning that I had. And as we were setting up, another example, as we were setting up the Microsoft Global Services Organization in India, as its managing director, again, same scenario there. We were given some investment dollars, go set up the organization. And, the thought was to hire world-class consultants out of India that appeal globally, right? And we started with the assumption that as we start hiring, people are going to just, come behind us, and, the geographies are going to come behind us and just laugh about people. And, we'll be very busy building 100% from day one. That wasn't the case, right? And that wasn't the case a year later. So we had to do some course corrections. What we learned was, while the corporate leaders allow you to go set up, they know at a very broad level it's the right thing to do for the business, but that doesn't translate into execution of the strategy. And we said, you're going to do it yourself in India. So one course correction we did was, we decided to have our own sales team in North America, which is a big market. Only sales team to go and educate people about the model, the talent, and stuff like that. Which, something our customers understand, thanks to all the Indian essays that made the whole global delivery popular. But multinationals, the field folks don't understand this. While the customer may understand, right? So that's in the course correction. So starting the right foundation is absolutely important. Don't make any shortcuts. Start the right investment, right? And strategy. Lesson number 2: your aspiration is not going to be created by somebody else. You got to do it yourself. Instead, when CEOs and presidents approve India-based investment, they make, as I said, those decisions because, broadly speaking, it's the right thing to do. And they also, because everyone is doing it. Doing it for the right reason is not something that happens upfront. It's something that India-based teams have to, figure out the aspiration, what they want to go after, something that has to be homegrown for the India team. The GE kind of experience doesn't happen always. Jack Welch coming here and seeing the India potential, I'm going to do all this here in India, that kind of experience, CEO call. How many times have you seen that? Or another example from GE, frugal innovation, reverse innovation, all of that, how often do you see that? That kind of commitment from CEO. It doesn't happen every day. Something that India-based teams have to, develop an aspiration to go after those kind of big goals and dreams. And we are waiting for a mandate. We'll wait for our take, we'll wait forever. So that's something that we want going on. One of the examples that I can share from my previous job in Microsoft was, it's sad, we set up this organization in India, but there were no takers, right? And because there was no strong strategy behind it. Then, as we looked at the situation and said, okay, what is our aspiration? What is it we should be known for? And what is it we want to go after? What kind of space that we want to create for ourselves within Microsoft? We looked at Microsoft goals for or aspirations for enterprise. At that point in time, Microsoft was going after big wins in platform wins in the enterprise around the world. Right? Microsoft history, lineage, and back. Right? It was a desktop company, and they were struggling for mission critical LOB wins, line of business that wins in the market, right? And running mission critical applications on or solutions on Microsoft technology, something that customers are wary of, right? And where at that time was better. And then also, every time Microsoft used to come up with a new generation of technology, the market was behind, lagging in adopting it. And therefore, what happened? The challenge for Microsoft was, as we bring out these new technologies, customers started questioning. Right? I haven't found gotten enough value out of the previous refresher coming in the way of Microsoft success and helping them, pushing the enterprises to renew their licenses. Right? It was a global problem. So we looked at, is that something that we can do something? And that helped us, call a niche for ourselves in Microsoft. So we focused on creating offerings, solution offerings, service offerings, from India. Okay, what kind of competences, capabilities we can bring to help Microsoft go after large-scale enterprise LOB wins, which is something that a Microsoft service partner would not do because of their own technology aversion to, betting, they're putting their neck on the line for the customer on behalf of Microsoft. So something that Microsoft can go put its neck on the line, I'll make it happen for you, the customer. Okay, you bet on Microsoft. That was missing within Microsoft. So we created those, right? For instance, .NET came. So how many customers would bet on .NET, for example, or LOB? So going after that kind of thing, creating those marquee wins, visible wins around the world, and that helps, the system integrated parts of Microsoft to, have the confidence in Microsoft technologies and propose solutions around Microsoft technologies. So those are the things we created. Yeah. And then similarly, Vista was coming to the market at that point, Windows Vista. Okay. And it may be a desktop operating system. We may find it not so mission critical, but let me tell you, our customers run thousands and thousands of large enterprises. It's not uncommon for any large enterprise with 10, 20 billion in revenue to run 1,000 applications on their desktop. Most of you are coming from highly service industries, right? And you appreciate that, right? So that's a huge headache for them to, barrier for them to move from one version of the platform to another. So we create offerings, and processes to do it. How painlessly, tools to painlessly help my customers migrate from earlier versions of Microsoft desktop operating system to the next one. So we kind of carved our own niche, and that aspiration is something that we had to build. And again, it was not because we ate a brain way doing it, it's because of learning. Because when you don't have such a strategy, when you don't have such a proposition, nobody's going to think about using it as, right? The second thing is, once we have the platform, once we, I joined EMC in 2009 and 7, I told you about, EMC's, presence from 2003 to 2006. It was kind of a hotel sort of atmosphere, not a good strategy. Once we started working on it, and we got a bold goal, aspiration, 50% of the product work, R&D, product engineering work, we do in India is something that we won't get entirely end-to-end from product standpoint. Bold product engineering, product. And then we also put a bold aspiration. We will be the main development center or the delivery center for EMC global services. Okay. Not that we have to back, corporate buying for that, but it's also a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you have that kind of bold goal, then you do all the right thing from a capability standpoint, and then at some point the corporate sees value in it, and then hopefully support. And rewinding the clock back last project, we kind of we did achieve what we said we will do. Not without challenges, but you got it important. You have bold goals, and your aspiration is something that you have to worry about, not somebody else. Okay, that's lesson number 2. The third is what is your brand? Okay. What is, as an India-based organization, what is the brand you want, what is that you want to be known for? So what is the image you want to create about yourself? And, India is one of many countries. Let me also tell you the comparative situation that we are in as a country. For any multinational, I don't know how many of you are from multinationals. Just give me the names if you SAP. Good. That's not. Let me tell you, there's no reason why they should work with us. Right?
Sorry?
There's no reason why they should, people will say talent, maybe we came to India for talent, probably. but we all know the truth is we came for cost. Right? Cost is a moving thing. Cost is a moving thing. And therefore, the brand that we want to associate ourselves with is very important long term for our own sustainability. Today, every dollar invested in India is questioned. Okay. I'll tell you, there is bigger benefits seen in investing in India in China. Okay. Why? China is 5 times Indian market. The return on investment in China's market, the money that they take out, not what they invest, what they spend, is 5 times, 6 times larger than India as a market. Okay. So CBOOS, yes, China, there are challenges in China too, IP rights and all of that English. The English language has a differentiator going on. Right? Chinese are beginning to speak English, and the learn, and the quality of output is absolutely stunning. And as a market, they are much bigger than India. So it's a big challenge that we're facing. So therefore, it's important we think about our brand. The cost game is gone. Our cost is continuing to, rate inflation is continuing to be anywhere between 10 to 15% year on year. And so the brand becomes an important issue. What does it want to be more important? The brand, when you talk about brand is something that it's not something that we gain by advertising or anything like that, right? It's a tribute meant to us based on what we stand for, our values, our attributes, and stuff like that. As we think about our brand, we need to think about our culture too. What kind of culture we build within our team. And when you think about culture, one thing we always argue, is, hey, we are different. We are different, so we need something different. Why should we be different? Why can't we be the team that personifies corporate, what corporate we work on, the corporate culture, the maximum in the global map. Okay, that's something that we really think about. Not having that, the pain that and I personally went through in one of my organizations. We do have more than 50, over the years, because of the national momentum we gained, we grew our customer support service group in India faster, right? And EMCs, if you see, go to EMC's website, you will see customer first as first value, right? Depending on the profile of the customer, for instance, a customer that is really, for instance, the Wall Street firms and the stock exchanges, the telcos run EMC gears in their mission critical. If they have, there's a downtime, that's a huge business impact, right? And EMC flies their private corporate jet with engineers. It's not just for exhibit, right? It drops everything in there. And that's the kind of, and they don't think about expenses at that point. And the customer has a problem, everything's stopped. And the customer has to be up and running as quickly as possible. And the attention level is all the way up to the CEO. So that's a corporate culture, right? So then that is a corporate culture. And when over the years we started, delivering more than 50% of customer support calls from India for the English-speaking markets. That's a huge volume. Okay. And when that is that was a scenario, right? Because of attrition in India. And when you have people trained, it takes time to get back on track. So our trend was choppy. The customer support, customer satisfaction levels when it was choppy, right? Ups and downs and stuff like that. Giving an average to the global levels, at the end of the year, but the experience is not consistent throughout the year, right? And so how does it impact the image? So India is difficult to do customer service. It's difficult to do customer service kind of operation out of India. And at the time, you have different locations who do not have as much, the kind of challenges we have with, like attrition, for example, right? And if they are consistently delivering on the scorecard at some level, and then India is ups and down, that impacts our image, right? And that's something that we have to take back as a lesson to our teams. Hey, it's not, we may have zillion problems within our house. That's not something that somebody's seeing it from outside. It's what the scorecard shows. Right? What the customer is saying about our service. Right? So that's something that you got to educate. You got to get your people ingrained on what is the corporate values, right? And if customers first is our corporate number one corporate value, that's what our team has to live by, no matter what our difficulties are. And the second example that I can quote is when think about this, a corporate like EMC, DPN in their own location, built over 20-30 years. There are a lot of things taken for granted in that kind of location, right? When we build a whole new organization in India kind of place, for example, in Bangalore, in the last 4 years we grew from 500 people to 3,600, 700 people, right? When I joined, it was 500 people. We had about 40 managers. I could just fit in, their room like this and have a conversation with them, right? But now we have 400, managers, okay, people managers, and 500 people managers. Think about, for 4 years, no corporate, headquarters is going to experience that kind of scale. So they don't have any template for you to fall back on. How you build a new organization. That's not something that they have. Something that we have to figure it out ourselves. While we are scale, at the same time, how do you make sure that we scale in an orderly fashion? How we will make sure we don't drop the ball. And when you hire in such a phase, people from all kinds of corporate cultural background come. How do you make sure that you assimilate? How do you orient them? How do you bring them together on a single platform? Right? And those kind of investments, when you think about your future role, something that you have to figure out yourself. I think going through all the learning, we ended up working out with IIM Bangalore, a management development program. We call it EDGE. The 15-month program that we take our managers through, combining what EMC Corporate is looking for and what our local issues or challenges are to make sure we build the right culture within our organization here. And good. And another thing, as you think about your brand, making sure, do you have an engaged employee? Studies have shown that an engaged employee brings 20% more outcome. He stretches himself or herself. Okay. And so, how do you create a culture where the employees feel engaged? So, to bring a stronger connection between the employee and the organization, we have come up with a program called ICOE in I belong to this organization. And it has several components to it. One is about, we say that the usual cliche that we use is a people-centric organization, right? All of us, particularly the technology and service companies, where people are in the middle. That's what we say. But are we truly living by that? Right? And that's the question we ask of ourselves. If you're truly living by that, we should make sure we put the employee in the middle, and everything should work around them, right? So we have, as part of our ICOE, we have this program, this called a component called iCare. iCare is about putting all the organization processes, HR, finance, doesn't matter, everything that an employee needs for them to be successful. Okay? Just focus on the core job that he or she has to do. iCare is about SLA-based service delivery to employees. They don't worry about their payroll, they don't worry about what is not core to their work. Okay? And just take that for granted. And then they have an issue, hope that it's answered, and just focus on their job and make it a much friendlier environment for them. And the second thing is IE. You talk about corporate culture. How do you make sure that employees notice it? How do you make sure that employees take the leadership role in influencing the changes they want to see around themselves? Right? They have lots of behavior. Not only what happens in the reward system, it's always top down. the managers reward an employee that does something well, right? Or the manager does it. It's always top down, right? Why can't an employee take the leadership in rewarding something that they see around themselves that they like as a change, right? And so what we did was through this ILE, we listed a bunch of behaviors that we wanted to see in the organization as a culture, right? It could be an employee taking the initiative to go deeper in certain competencies. It could be around promoting diversity. It could be around various other different things and values that we want to drive, right? And as they see, they can go and reward somebody exhibiting right behavior with certain points. The way it works is like airline miles. The points are rewarded, accumulated among themselves. And they accumulate, and then basically you try to engage them and try to help them be part of the organization change process and do it in a fun-filled way. At the end of the year, whenever they want, they can redeem those points to something good. Right. So that created a lot of momentum within the organization, employee participation. Another thing that in any employee survey that you find is there's not enough communication. We often break our head. What is that? We keep sending mails, we have all the town halls, all ads, and all kinds of stuff. We talk about the company's vision, values, all of that. There's websites that talks about all that. What kind of communication are we talking about? So when you think about the website, employees have to go, and it is not really engaging. Right? And the mails, when there is a general communication coming, what do you do normally? You park the site. And with the intent to go back and read, but that doesn't happen. Right? After some point in time, you go delete, because it's old, you think. And so what we found interesting ways to engage employees, participate in communication, right? And through the ILE program. And we have some interesting communication. As we communicate, we invite them back to a quiz in our internal portal, and then reward points. That reminds me of some events happened as I was growing up, and I was in a residential school run by Ramakrishna Mission. To encourage the students, high school students, to mug up Bhagavad Gita, the Swamiji, used to give us for every slogan that we listed. A chocolate, right? And so we take turns, and every time we go memorize 10 slogans and go and bless it and take 10 chocolates, and it became a big movement. The interesting thing is, you did it for our own benefit. And whatever we did through the IE is really, driving employees to, doing what is good for them, their own personal development. So we don't go out, do we? Right, so good. So another thing, talking about the brand, we have grown abroad. We have up to 3,600 employees, about almost 2,000 are working on our products, various different technologies that EPGP sells into the marketplace, and that cuts across storage, security, content, management, intelligence, and virtualization kind of products and technologies. While that is the case, if you ask one simple question, when it comes to product, what is one thing that comes to the mind of minds of our corporate executives or somebody out there in the US? There's none, because you do everything. That keeps you as a commodity. Right? You got to be known for something. And that basic, that kind of a thought recently set on us. If you think about, there are 3-4 teams within technology teams within EMC: storage, and big data, trust, and cloud. Those are the dominant teams in our technology portfolio. And as we think about storage, yes, we do, not just India, all of our different locations that we have around the world as centers of excellence. We do something or the other in storage. But when you think about storage, it's always associated with our Boston, in Boston there's this book called Hopkinton. That's where all the technology, that's where it is. Historically, EMC is a storage company. That's where 3 decades of EMC storage knowledge is deeply entrenched there from a domain point of view. Decisions are made there, right? And so you can't separate the two. Hopkinton and storage, you can't be separated. Similarly, big data. A lot of our big data portfolio comes from West Coast of US. So we start asking ourselves, when somebody thinks like things of Bangalore, what should come to their mind? It's cloud, whatever, right? That's brand. As you think about as you take up your assignments tomorrow, whatever role that you do, I think that's something that you have to think about. What is the brand that you want to associate your team with or yourself with, right? That's very important for not just for EMC here, for most of the multinational enterprises that have large presence here. That's very important for their future role in their respective companies. Right. And we started, doing a lot of things in this direction. When you think about the depth in technology, it comes with experience, right? We don't have, we don't have that experience as India-based offices. Doesn't matter EMC or any other company. And how we shorten the cycle. It's a chicken and egg situation. You ask for ownership, you ask for, do you have the capability to hold things? Without the right portfolio, you can't build ownership. You can't build capability either, right? So it's a chicken and egg situation. But sometimes nobody is going to solve that problem for us. It's something that we have to solve for ourselves. So we invested in a couple of programs, the program for policy that we have. So every year, 10 people we select from our top technology team and send them to US or wherever the CTOs of the respective BUs are and fellows within the company are, and work with them for give them assignment for 1 year for them to be mentored, for them to work on long-range technology roadmaps and decisions only those kind of guys make, and come back to that learning. And then we hope to over the next few years we hope to bridge the gap that we have in capability between those established locations and us. And similarly, we started instituting a research project and select domains that we think will help us create that what is Bangalore is known for, working with Indian science IITs, so those are some of the mechanisms that we have implemented. Another important thing that we have done is, historically, those locations had access to markets and customers that help them go deeper, right? So India was initially in any organization set up as the offshore. So how do you can come to the forefront in talking to customers, understanding customers' markets and stuff like that? So we have this program that we call Springboard. It's really, it's a platform, if you will, that we started this year. This is really about, driving innovation. Innovation is not the birthright of folks on the other side. Something that we could do as well. And so what we try to do is through this, we invite ideas from employees and also our employees connecting customers and markets, and bring that and select the best ones to incubate. Okay, put some money behind internal incubation, right? And that helps us change the culture as well. It'll take time, but those are things that you as leaders need to think about as you take your next responsibility, how you drive innovation within your organization. And that's very important as well for future sustainability of any such organization in India, and also raise the value of what we do for our parent operations. Okay, with that, there are some continuing challenges which I thought should highlight to you as you look to embark on your next phase of your career beyond this year. There is still a lot of entitlement mentality amongst our people. Right? We don't appreciate what we get. We ask for more. Hey, it's my birthright to get. You know, if I don't get from you, I'll go find some other company. The opportunities are wide, right? And we don't always evaluate what is that I deliver, what is that, you know, I command. You know, we kind of take a route of demand, right, instead of commanding. Command comes based on what we do, what we deliver, right? So that's something that is not good for us as a culture. It's something that we need to, change amongst our employees. That good things will happen when you do the right thing, right? So that trust you have to impose on the system, the organization, and the team, and that's something that we've got to watch out for. It's getting much deeper. I'm worried about it as an industry, as a country. And our own limitations, as leaders and managers, most of our folks look for a brief, a mandate. That's not always given. Okay, and that becomes a barrier for us to broaden our perspective, broaden our, and it's easy for us to blame others, including God. When something, we can't complete, we put the blame on others. We don't necessarily even blame God. I know a couple of days ago, one of our key iconic leaders in the technology space in the country, who grew up, with the organization, became a global leader, Krishna McLean Hannibal, is one of the rare leaders out of India, doing a huge global responsibility reporting to the CEO of Hannibal. Hannibal is not small now, right? He wrote an article, I encourage you to go read it. It was a few days ago. It was in Times 70 Business Hall. And this is what he highlights. That's what people know the role of India, and what he sees as the difference. This is one thing that he highlighted as well, which we see that every day. And then the third challenge is really, it's beyond us, but as a country, something that worry about the inactions in the system and the infrastructure, and also the ever-changing tax regime. As most nationals, look to invest here, they look for stability, they look for predictability. Just to give you an example, we have last year, this year, as part of the budget, a huge decision got reversed. SEC. We announced SEC tax regime, and we said to everyone that this is the future, this is the way to go, and this is the tax break. 15 years you get tax break if you invest in SEC, and the same government changed it last. With that, a lot of SECs came, and I was one of them. I also pushed my company to go invest. Hey, that's the future. Let's go invest. And we're going to save so much money through this. Let's invest in it. We invested. Last March, it got changed. Minimum alternative tax is uniform. It doesn't matter whether you're a CPI, and you got to pay 20% tax on your income or on your profit. And this is okay, but how within the span of a few years, if you keep shifting, and those are the things that are big challenges of the country we're facing as we look to attract investment, as we look internally, look to convince more investment in India. At that time, they start quoting, hey, we don't face them in any other country. Right? So those are some of the challenges. Regulatory and also people related. So to sum up, as the years as I look back, what is that helped me personally be successful and build a successful organization? There are 5 key principles that came to my mind that I implicitly or explicitly started adopting and applying. One, the first one and foremost was make sure that you and your team connect with the purpose of the company or the vision of the company, whatever company you're working for. If you don't connect with that purpose or vision, it is impossible for us to contribute meaningfully. Okay, if you don't connect with that, actions won't be connected to that. You won't think about, things that will differentiate us in terms of having the company achieve its vision. And that's tough. We'll continue to be at the level where we are in terms of value addition. The second, principle is make sure that your team is in demand. When does it gain that status? Make sure that you have absolutely the best capable team in your team. So that it doesn't matter what you do, what kind of your service or product company or R&D, make sure that you have the best skills in the trade in your team. And it's not just the best skill, but also the attitude and culture of the team. Because when people want to work with you, they want to work with you not just for your capability, because how great you are, and the experience that they get working with your team, right? And that's what draws them towards your team, and that's very important. The third principle that I make sure that your managers or leaders are role models. When I talk about role models, people work for people, right? And no matter how great your groups or organizations or company's vision is, and it may enjoy a great position in the marketplace, but it is direct experience working from an employee standpoint, working with a manager, that is not great. He's got or she's going to quit and go to another place, right? And managers and the leaders are the face of the company. So it makes sure that they have a role model, they listen to people, and they're compassionate. It doesn't mean that they have to always be nice to people, but it's very important. They bring that kind of atmosphere within the team. And the fourth principle is make sure the clients love your team, love us. And I say that because in the broader context, client could be internal, external. Right? When do they love you? When that relationship is predictable. When the experience is always great, they raise that relationship with love, right? That's when they call that status to that relationship, and that's very important as a team part of brand and stuff like that. And the last principle that I always advocate to my team is be a good corporate citizen. The reason is it's not everything can be put in the job description. Right? Not everything can be put in the job description. And the company stands for something. When you understand that, and understand your role, you will always do the right thing. Don't expect everything in the job description. Be a good citizen. So that's what helped me build 3 large organizations, and continue to be excited about what I'm doing. With that, I will be open for any questions you may have.
You must have interacted with a lot of management people. So how much of it have you felt that how much of it do you feel that you're pretty well? I'm talking about from an MBA standpoint.
I don't have an MBA.
Right, exactly. So do you miss it, or do you think that it would have helped, or what do you think?
I don't miss it. Right now I don't miss it. I may have missed it if I had looked at it, as I was growing up, early in my career. If I had thought about a management career, what I lacked, yes, I would miss it. But given the opportunities I had to learn, I don't think I miss it now. The reason I have what I have is I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. The diverse experience that I had in Microsoft, that helped me grow. And also, I always looked up to a couple of people, leaders that every point in my career there was always somebody that I looked up to emulate, to learn from. That helped me learn leadership styles, leadership principles, and what made them be successful. Not the iconic figures that I'm talking about regular people that I was able to see every day in my work life, right? And so no, I don't miss it.
Spoke about the challenges, and one of the challenges that you spoke about was government external factors as such. So what do you do when, say, something like Egypt happens, when the entire investment group has a chance of going in flames?
Okay. Egypt is something very unique that doesn't happen often. So one thing that we did was very quickly we rallied around, first of all, to lay the fears that investing in Egypt means that when we have these kind of problems, we are going to suffer, right? So we want to make sure that we address that basic issue. So what we did was we quickly rallied around within the organization to create fallback strategy. Fallback risk management strategy. Egypt can't walk. In fact, about 3-4 days, the Egypt employees could not work. They couldn't come to the office. There's a curfew. And network was down. Remember, in the early days, they cut down all the internet access and stuff like that, so they couldn't work. So what we, anticipating that, what we did was we kind of moved the workload from there. Particularly, R&D kind of stuff, you can wait for a few days. And that's okay. But when it comes to customer service type operation, you got to, when you have dependency on agent employees, there and take customer calls, it's tough. So we kind of put in back the risk management strategy, disaster management strategies immediately. So we kind of allayed the fear, to clear that fear that if Egypt goes down, we go down kind of thing, right? And then so Egypt is a viable destination for the country to invest. That's a long-term thing, right? And that's a work in progress. There is no silver bullet to address that. Egypt has to, as a country, has to prove themselves that hey, it's a stable country, and that's something that sitting outside as a corporate. At this point in time, I act as a corporate. And my general manager in Egypt, his fear is that is the EMC coming to definitely invest, and we support him, but cautiously, right? We are waiting for the elections to get over to make final commitment on the long-term plan. There's a smoother transition of government and civilian government takes over, do the country to invest. We are now open about that. So this is a very unusual thing. But what happens in India is not unusual. This is something that is self-inflicted every now and then. Not having the right policies, clear policies, not making decisions faster. So that's a different set of challenge. So the only way we can deal with this, those uncertainties are there for us, but think about the value you get. So other things that I talked about, what is India known for, the talent, capability, those are the only things, the value that they get. Those are the only things that will be fresh in their mind, not the ultimate pain that we go through. So it depends on what we bubble up, as an experience, while hiding the complexities. So that's the only way to be successful.
EMC was in a lot of bad, they follow on to that. How did the EMC's customer first policy and what did the EMC do to regain the customer love, like you put it?
So, first of all, in this case, I'm in association with that particular incident.
Lockheed incident, there are other incidents, but the whole RSA hack gave rise to a lot of negative publicity about the opacity with which EMC handled it, at least to the public. Maybe inside of you would have been that you would have.
I'll tell you about the customers. So one thing the industry at large, as well as the customer loved, because without anybody prompting, we came to public. We were public about it. Nobody prompted us. The first press release was from EMC. So the customers appreciated it, the industry appreciated it. And we published, and then you started hearing about other incidents that nothing to do with EMC that started coming up, right? The customers started being open about it. The reason why those kind of issues are not kept open is because the fear, psychosis, right? And so we wanted to be very objective about it. This has happened, and that's a big threat. We wanted industry value, support behind it. This is not something that about one company's product. It's not about one company issue. It's about industry issue, industry facing threats from people that want to cause damage, right? To address customer issue, we took a big underwriting cost go and replace customer, the security systems. Tokens, so we did a big underwriting on that. So we put money behind it. So that's one. Customers appreciate it. Being upfront and not hiding behind it. What we learned. The next thing is what we learned out of the whole process. How we addressed it. That knowledge of us, the knowledge that we gained as a company in helping customers not face that situation. Nobody has. And customers love it. Okay. And most of our customers are, federals and large enterprises, financial services, institutions who are sensitive about all this. And they are actually talking even more deeper to us. Because the experience that we went through, nobody has gone through. And the experience that we went through is as a result of state actors as well. It's very intense, very sophisticated, what we call persistent threat attack.
The RSA attack I thought was just an email phishing.
It's a very, very sophisticated attack, through large intermediaries and over a long period of time. And that kind of sophistication was not found in the industry. That happened for a very specific reason why we were talking about it. And that knowledge of dealing with it, that technology behind identifying that sophisticated attack was very well. So that customers appreciate. So actually, it's a blessing in disguise.
Basically, the trend that we saw in that organization was they have consistently moved east. Like for example, they set up a captive center in India and they simultaneously built up capacity in Southeast Asia. When India became much more costlier, they just shut it down and moved over to Southeast Asia. And now the concern is that Southeast Asia being again coming up on prices or costs, they are again looking for other various regions where they can get cost benefits. How much of that are you seeing in technology industry and particularly in product industry?
Yeah, these are our business services like what we're talking about. If you just play a cost game, that is unsustainable, right? And how quickly you move up in the food chain. In process industries or business industry, business services type activities that we're talking about, how quickly you move up to one process. Our process bonus globally speaking, as opposed to just delivering the basic, services at a commodity level. And that's what will help us sustain. Our cost is still attractive to us. When I compare with all the major markets, we still have competitive pricing, right? But the only thing is, the whole perception, that the jump that happens every year, that's one of the highest. So when somebody thinks about 5 years out, how soon you will bridge the gap between you and others. That's where people get. And most of the people now look for destinations outside India more to risk mitigating, right? To have a balance, to reduce the over-reliance on India. Okay. And the folks that shut down India and move somewhere else are foreign few, and that that I would say that experience is not because of cost. It's probably their holistic experience, not having the right strategy from the beginning, and therefore getting into rough patches, not experience that they don't like, and then that whole thing, kind of pushing them to move somewhere else. But I don't think our cost is still. I think our cost is still attractive.
But internally we know that they are just a backup of that. But over a period of time, that backup becomes forefront. So even so
that soon will change. If you don't move up in the food chain, value and capabilities,
yes.
So business in India, but are also supporting the global operations, which is the case for EMC as well.
Yeah.
the Indian price point, the market, India as a market, is vastly different from the US or Europe. So in which case, typically the organization set up a different cost structure, different support mechanism to manage the price points. So how is EMC approached that?
Yeah, you're right. So India's business for EMC is totally immaterial. And same is for all other IT products and technology. If you look at any IT company, IT products company, the India-based revenue will be anywhere between 0.5% to 1.2% of their global revenue. For most of them, right? They may say India is our future market and all of that kind of stuff. This is our 4%, 3 to 4%. The best cases, okay, of the global revenue. And that's only one or two companies, right? And therefore, the question after some point in time becomes, hey, we are putting in so much of investment in India, okay? What am I getting out of it? Is this the right thing to do? Going back to the same argument I made, China is 5%, 5% more from a market point of view, market size point of view. If India's revenue for a company is 100 million, their revenue in China would be about 500 million domestic revenue. So looks like if I invest more there, probably I can accelerate my growth in China because they are expected to be the largest economy in a predictable future as opposed to India, right? So therefore, the temptation is to look at China, right, for more investment. And the Chinese leaders make a good play about it because, hey, look at, I'm doing revenue, I'm growing your business 40-50%. We got to invest more. The government is pushing us to invest more in China. And the growth story dovetails with that. So there is a temptation at the corporate levels. Yes, why not we think about China more favorable? Yes, they may be more costlier than India when it comes to R&D products engineering, or more for the R&D and products engineering. But looks like the return is higher as a corporation, right? Not just the IP that we get, but also the revenue from the domestic market. As we put in more investment there, there's a chance that there's local innovation happening also for us to grow our prospects up the growth in China. So that temptation is there, that's a challenge. So how do we deal with that? In EMC, kind of, our company particularly, the way we do is, hey, we kind of change the game. Don't look at India for India's revenue. Investing in talent in India, more from the point of view of, don't associate investment in talent in India with the revenue in India. Detach them. India is a small market. Okay? We can't guarantee similar revenue. Now think about the talent, the innovation that happens. The way we are doing it is on this side, out of 4 hours of flight on one side, we have a large market, which is Middle East and Africa. Okay? We bring relevance to that market. Similarly, in the rest of Asia, there's a huge market as well. You're talking about Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and all of that put together, it's about a 500 million population. You can't ignore that population, right? Lots of countries. Okay, they need attention as well. So sitting here, our competencies, our focus, our connection to the market should drive innovation that is relevant to this vast geography. So don't ignore, don't always associate. That's also 4 hours from on one side, 4 hours on the other side. You cover a large geography, right? So, so that's how we are shifting our market reach conversation. Anything that we have to do which is locally relevant, it's one of our key globalization talents. Whatever talent investment that we do, how is it helping us be relevant in the local market from an innovation point of view, right? And bring out products that are more relevant to those markets. Historically, multinationals always, the history is that they develop products in one place and sell it around the world. Now the game is changing. How do you, while it may not be a totally different product, but the same product, the personality assumes from a relevance point of view as we sell into these markets. So we can bring that. So that's how we are shifting. Okay?
More of a person question. It is said that as a person grows in organization, and when he is at the top, he is alone and very few or no friends, and not a family or a person. How was your aspiring to be at that position, so how would it be?
Yeah, it is. It depends on your style as well. You can be alone by style. As a nature, as a job, it is a lone job, right? Nobody's there to help you. But as a person, you don't have to be alone. And it depends on your style and it depends on your personality. I don't isolate myself. I do surround myself with a team always. So I don't feel alone. And my social circles are always with my colleagues, most of it. So you don't feel alone because you have a personal connection going with your colleagues in the office as well, not just. And also, we have a pretty strong network. Some of us from the technology industry, particularly most of we colleagues, my peers in the market, we have a very informal network. We meet once in a quarter. We talk about our challenges. We share ideas on Sarv. We share best practices. There's no structured organization, just that we happen to come together. So those are some of the things that are helping me not feel I'm alone.
More on business level.
So again,
maybe you're chatting a lot on business level, not on personal level.
Personal level, personal level. In the office also I don't feel because most of my, so 50% of my social connection is from within the office, who I meet outside of office as families and stuff like that. And the rest of the 50% comes from general, with other friends. It's tough. It's tough. When you have a challenge, it's not, you don't easily find something you can trust and share.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, sir, for the insightful talk and taking your time to guide us. I think as a token of appreciation, this is
I wish you all good luck. Thank you for the time, for the opportunity to be in Tokyo, and also wish you all great luck and a great career as you renew your career.
Thank you.